Hello, and welcome to the Mile Burners. This is the story of our visit to Seattle, Washington. We landed at the start of this incredible sunset. And of course, the first thing on our minds upon arrival was finding a wonderful restaurant. First stop was Vaughn's 1000 Spirits, a short walking distance from our hotel, and these dishes were highly recommended by our waiter. This photo was taken right outside the restaurant, and the following day we were up before the sun.
So we're coffee people. It's hard to start a day without a good cup of coffee, and we're in Seattle. So what does that mean?
That means Starbucks, but not just any Starbucks. This is the original Starbucks, the very first one. Of all the Starbucks we've had in our lives, it was very interesting to be at the original store that started a global trend. The coffee was delicious as always, and the people were very friendly. Since we were up at the crack of dawn, we decided to check out the rest of the neighborhood while we were there before the rest of the crowds arrived. So it was kind of fun to see the market as they were just opening up their stands. From there, we returned to our hotel, which turned out to be a great location for us. It was about a 20-minute walk to that Starbucks and then maybe a 30-minute walk later on to the Space Needle. The inside had this library-like feel to it. Those are actually books on the walls, and it was a fun place to stay. The breakfast from the buffet was excellent. And this was the view from our room, which made spending time in the room really pleasant. We had 3 sides. We could see all the way to the water and observe all the changing weather that happened while we were there. So after we left the room, the first thing we had to do in Seattle, after having coffee, was visit the Space Needle. And as I mentioned before, it was about a half hour from our hotel. It was a bit overcast on the day that we were there, but there was no line, so we were able to get right inside with virtually no wait. As you wait for the elevator, you can see lots of photography and a little bit of a history lesson on the Space Needle. And if you are into Legos or know anyone who's into Legos, this is a pretty amazing Lego constructed Space Needle, which is definitely worth a second look.
Lake Washington, through the Los Puget Sound to the west, and you're welcome to stay all evening. We're open till 7, so no rush.
I was one of the 64 million visitors from back in the day, and if you've never been here before, the floor gently rotates as you're walking around. So it definitely takes some getting used to because you can see through to the ground, and it definitely gives you the sensation of doing something wrong. Everywhere you turn in the Space Needle is another photo op. We took several attempts at taking pictures. I don't think this is our best photography, but we did try. You will also see people lying down to take pictures, and yes, we tried this as well. and then a guard took our picture from above. From there, we went to the Chihuly Gardens next door, which is a museum showing lots of incredible glass creations designed by Dale Chihuly, and it is an amazing place to visit. Everything you could imagine is made out of glass. It is like a fantasy land of flowers and things you might see in the ocean, all made out of delicate glass. Many of the rooms are dark, and you honestly don't know what you're going to find around the next corner. In this area, I could imagine there being receptions or weddings. I don't know if they actually use it for that, but this was a very beautiful room leading to the outside where they have the live demonstrations.
So it's best to set it up for success early on. So we're using our steel top table. It's called a Marver.
You'll definitely want to save some time to explore the outside where you'll see more examples of glass sculpture. From there, we went to the waterfront to make a quick reservation for Valentine's Day at this popular restaurant called Elliot's. Inside, there were lovely views of the ferry going back and forth. Michael had to work, so I decided to do some exploring on my own. And for a completely different form of art, I felt compelled to check out the gum wall. This is a very popular spot for tourists, and people were adding to the wall while I was there. Next, I was curious about the big line in front of this restaurant, and someone in the line told me that they were primarily waiting for the macaroni and cheese. So even though there were lots of other things on the menu, of course I had to get some of the macaroni and cheese to try it for myself. Later, I realized we had seen them making the cheese on our early morning coffee run. So it's funny when you travel, sometimes things work out that way. I'm not sure if that was lunch or a snack, but there's always room for dessert. And this place also came highly recommended. To round out my view of the city, I had to take a quick ride on the monorail, which took me back to the Space Needle and Chihuly Gardens. But the sun had come out, and I really appreciated seeing the city from this perspective.
Alright, we're out again. This time we are going for Italian because we're saving our last seafood meal for tomorrow, right?
For tomorrow, that's right. And we're going to Ristorante Machiavelli.
Turn left.
Sometimes GPS, I don't know. Was that a shortcut?
I have to say the restaurant was worth the slightly scary walk to get there. The people were so friendly, the atmosphere was very cozy, and the food was top-notch. The Caesar salad came highly recommended, and the tiramisu is rated top 10 on Seattle's best restaurant desserts. On our last day on this quick weekend trip to Seattle, Washington for Valentine's Day, we returned to Elliott's Oyster House for a delicious Valentine meal. As you might imagine, we had oysters while at Elliott's, and I had scallops in a bacon risotto, which is one of their specialties. And then we rounded off our meal with these two delicious desserts. Thanks for watching. See you next time.